Today's Thursday, December 18th. I will call the North Andover Board of Health to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first order of business, the approval of the September minutes. I don't know if anybody looked it over, but I'll take a motion.
I move that they be adopted as written.
The only one left a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved. We will go right into new business. Ron, you'll bless us with your presence.
For the Healthy Communities Tobacco Control Program. All right, so I know we've talked in the past about revision of your regulations so that they merge in with the strongest state law, I believe, in the country, and I've given you a copy of that. It's 105 CMR 665. And I'm going to go through it rather quickly. This time I've integrated it into your most recent regulations and put some notes. And so I don't mean to race through it, but if I don't go quickly, it'll take quite a lot of time. So I'll just do the things that, just to bring your attention to the things that would be suggested as a change. And I should say that the vast majority of these changes are simply to make sure that yours is a mirror image, that it's as strong as the state law. Where there are a few potential things you may want to consider that go a little beyond the state law, I'll make sure I note those. So right away on 3, that's very easy. It's just what I've done there is you have a section that we'll see in a few sections after. For the definition of an adult-only retail tobacco establishment, usually known as a smoke shop, vape shop, it just adds one last piece to it because you have, in that one paragraph, provided for all the parameters to be able to operate that type of establishment. After that, let's see, the definition of characterizing flavor, just note that there's nothing so much wrong with what you had there as a definition for characterizing flavor, but if you look at the 105 CMR 665, their definition, the one that's inserted in here, just a little different, so it's the mirror image. Coupon.
Just very
yes.
quickly, I won't unnecessarily slow you down.
Not at all.
First of all, you always do a great job of redlining the document, so it's very helpful. That first point was really about reducing density of establishments, making sure there's no critical concentration.
Is that you mean the first one that I was talking about? Well, yeah, you're pointing out something that will be in another section further on, which is you have a cap. As I understand it, I think it's 16, one of which can be a adult-only tobacco store.
Okay.
Yes, so
okay.
that's a good
Fair
eye
play.
on that.
All right. Continue.
And then coupon, you do have some language in regards to a coupon, but this here provides you with the definition that is, again, included in 105 CMR in that particular section. Electronic cigarette, they've moved away from that definition, and now they call it an electronic nicotine delivery system. And again, that is right out of, it's quite lengthy, but it basically encompasses anything that can be vaporized or aerosolized, any substance. It is sort of a misnomer, which kind of makes my job fun. So it means that it says whether it contains nicotine. The definition actually says whether it contains nicotine or any other substance. So sometimes there's a CBD or a delta variations of a THC. As long as it's not marijuana. If it had the percentage of marijuana requisite to be a marijuana product, then it would cease to be a tobacco product. But in any event, that's what that is, that definition there. And then we get to the next couple pages, the smoking bar. Once again, that's just pulled. Actually, that one's pulled. No, it is pulled from 105 CMR 665. I thought it was a general law. Just goes into just a little bit more detail of what a smoking bar is. What it is, but the only reference to it that's necessary in your regulation is that you've prohibited the establishment of smoking bars, so just let you know what it is that's being prohibited. I added the tobacco product flavor enhancer. Some of these things, by the way, I've tried to be, believe it or not, judicial in not putting too many of the provisions in 105 CMR, otherwise you have a very, very lengthy regulation. There is an incorporation provision in the end that says anything that's in 105 CMR is incorporated in your regulations. But this is meant to be a bit of an easier read for anybody that has a tobacco product sales permit and wants to see the essentials altogether. By the way, just to let you know, just like on the ground, what under tobacco product flavor enhancer is, when the laws went into effect in 2020, I have to say the state looked ahead and could guess what might happen. And of course, I saw it when the law first went into effect. A tobacco product flavor enhancer may seem kind of an innocuous product. They were these. I would go to a few of the vape shops throughout the district, and they'd be just like watermelon and grape, but they didn't have any nicotine in it, so it wasn't a tobacco product, but it was used for the purposes of mixing with a nicotine product. So it they had the foresight to took ahead on that, so that's why that's in there. I just took out, I gotta wear these things. My notes are so small. Oh, the electronic nicotine delivery system is preferred over vaping products, so that's why the vaping, it would be repetitive, so it'd just be the same as what I just mentioned earlier. Oh, and then, sadly, I remember North Andover, I think the board members wanted to have a small, remember that, Brian? They wanted to just kind of like have one sign, kind of fit everything all at once. Well, the state's kind of outdone themselves. There's 5 signs that are required now. One is a very lengthy sign, which it has the whole state law on it. I don't think it's well read. It can't be read unless you look at it a bit close, but it is required under 105 CMR, and I mentioned this section. I guess I didn't, but I could refer you to it. But it's just 5 different signs. So that's what's required now in North Andover. This next page here, 8. Let's see. Oh, well, that was the other big change. Your original regulations said, to ID anyone that appears to be under the age of 40. The section 020 of 665 requires everyone be ID'd. And I took out the vending machine on the face-to-face sales. That's in section 3.4, because there are no vending machines allowed. Let me just be sure. Oh, yeah, that language presumed that you might allow sales in vending machines, as I read it. So I just took that out because you have a separate section that actually prohibits the use of vending machines for tobacco sales.
Sure.
4.8. This is the first one that's a local option. So your regulations indicate that the tobacco permit is non-transferable, which is the standard. And this one says a new owner of an establishment that sells tobacco products must apply for a new permit. No new permit will be issued unless and until all outstanding penalties incurred by the previous permit holder are satisfied in full. This has come up, and it's a very handy, it's a rarely used, but in the cases where someone's going to sell, this allows for you to have some kind of leverage to make sure the fine is paid for before there's a change in ownership. And then this is what I referred to at the beginning, the adult-only retail. You had a very lengthy, which is a good. I mean, it says all of these things here that what they must adhere to. But the very definition of adult-only tobacco store includes every single one of these. It's kind of busy here what I wrote, but all of them basically make reference to the fact that all of these restrictions are incorporated into the definition of adult-only tobacco store. If it's your preference to leave it in, that would be fine as well. It just would be repetitive, I guess. And then this section 14, which would be rewritten to 12, if 12 was taken out, it just made reference to flavored tobacco. So I guess Yeah, it just makes it simple to just say a tobacco permit may be issued to a person that meets the criteria of the North Andover Board of Health Regulations. There's a separate section also in the regulations that prohibits flavored tobacco, so that would be unnecessary. Again, these, let's see, section 6. Once again, that's pulled from flavored tobacco definition, or I should say the flavored tobacco restriction, just a little bit different wording than what you currently have. The section 9.1 is that's just a grammatical thing. Section 15, again, let's see. Oh, well, okay, now, so in North Andover, you have a prohibition against the sale of electronic nicotine delivery systems, except, right, an adult-only tobacco store. So, so that section is just changing the nomenclature for, you know, instead of electronic cigarettes to electronic nicotine delivery systems. And then same with, yeah, 15.1, just to makes the reference of, just makes it simpler to make it that term of electronic nicotine delivery system. This one here is more done out of the 16.2. The language that you have was the language we've always used to say that you don't allow smoking bars. The state allows you that ability to do that. But it was a kind of a little kind of end-around way of doing it, that smoking is not allowed in a smoking bar. Well, then it's not a smoke. You can't have a smoking bar. So I don't know. This is a little neater. I left the other one in for more neurotic reasons or whatever. But you have the language that would prevent such an establishment being set up. Okay, same thing. 16.4, just using that electronic nicotine delivery system. 17. Now this is an issue to address, and it is a local option. So the state law has that 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 for first, second, third offenses. This one here, it's not, how you say, enforced as strictly, but this first 17.1A, it's just, if you look at 105 CMR, just to let you know how it happened by accident, when the law was passed, if you go to 0.40, well, first, if you go to 0.45, there's a section that's called violations. Well, that's conveniently where you would expect to see the violations information. And we all went by that, and I spent a lot of time training over 300 retailers that the fact of what this 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and depending on the town, how they have their language construed with a shall or a may. For the second and third offenses, the state allows a range of 1 to 7 days for a second offense suspension, and a range of, I guess it would be at least 7 days and up to 30 days for suspension for a third offense. Then, months later, someone in our grouping, in the part of the state, happened to read that little D that's above, a big D, I guess you said, from the previous section. And that section essentially has been interpreted to indicate that in the case if it's a sale to a person under the age of 21, that there needs to be not only the fine that's listed in the violation section, but also how they word it, at least, for up to 30 days. Yeah, it's a little interestingly worded. It just says, sale to a tobacco product by a retail establishment to someone younger than 21 shall result in the retail establishment being prohibited from selling tobacco for up to 30 business days. Now, there was a big debate about, well, up to 0 would be up to, maybe, kind of, sort of, I don't know. But the way the agreed interpretation, I suppose, was for it to be at least 1 day. You know, and again, this isn't all, $1,000 is a big, I mean, for you had one of the largest fines in the state, locally, at $300, right across the board, even on the first offense. So, I don't know. It's really would think it would be, well, I got to be careful what I say. I can't say it's your discretion, but perhaps it would be anyway. So, you just have to work with that. Now, the other one that's most important about that section, back to the amended regs, is section 17, is whether you want there to be a may or a shall, and whether you want to be a specific day, a duration, this is just a working draft. The next section, 17.2, I noted that you have may. So you have a may. Some towns have a may, some towns have a shall. May gives you some leeway. And by the way, down below here, while I'm on that page, 17.1 would cover anything that's a violation of state law. You can't go below that. So, a sale to underage would be the state law, so it would be the $1,000 fine for first offense. If it was a sale of flavored tobacco, same thing. The local ones are really, you have restrictions on the sale of blunt wraps, restricting them to just adult only, and the cigar sale, minimum pricing, not having a permit, this sort of thing. But most of the real big policy issues are the state ones. But for these smaller, certainly worthwhile local options, it would be the other schedule of, in your case, it's just 300 down the board. So it's just something for you to think about in terms of whether, and one other thing, I'm going to back up, there's the tolling period. So the tolling period that you have in your current regulations, which just basically is, counts, if a day today, someone makes a violation, you got to wait 2 years before it clears for it not to be regarded as a second violation, or third if it was such the case. You have 24. Every town does it differently. Some want to go with consistency. The state law has a 36-month tolling period, so that goes back 3 years. It's tough, especially when you're doing these compliance checks and such. I always say it sticks with you, so you got to be really vigilant. So you could have something separate tolling period for your local issues, your local violations versus the state, or you might want to consider just keeping it consistent. And the same with the may and the shall thing. You could have your may for your local, maybe your shall for the state, but maybe you want it all to be may. And there's pros and cons, as I'm sure you've experienced with may and shall. It's kind of a funny way to put it, but yes.
A point of inquiry.
Yes.
On the first one, it says it shall be suspended. Everyone, the other ones, even though you've allowed some room in there,
Yeah.
it has a time period associated.
All right.
Are you meaning for there to be
Now,
a fixed duration under the first instance?
what section are you on?
I'm sorry, I'm in 17A.
17
at the very end.
Point 1. Oh, let me just look here. Are you 17?
It cites a regulation, so maybe the regulation is where that information is.
Help me out, if you could, help me out with that again. We're in section 17, and are you at 17.1 or 17?
17.1A, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I
Oh,
should've-
1A,
I should've-
okay.
Yeah, I should have
Okay.
referenced the one. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay, so in the case of a first violation, a fine of $1,000 shall be issued. That
Yep.
shall's okay, meaning that's ironclad from the statute, from the regulations. But after that, in the case of a first violation, there's no suspension. There's no suspension on a first violation. So that A is just,
Well, I'm just reading the last line, and maybe I'm tired.
no, you're not tired. That's exactly what I was
Okay.
making mention of earlier. So that language, that's citing that very, sorry, I wasn't looking at that shell. That shell is making reference to that 040D, the one we
Okay.
were just looking at, 105 CMR, the one that I was mentioning that we learned months later that just for the sale of tobacco to an underage individual, that would require at least a 1-day suspension. That's the way it has been interpreted by the powers that be. However, as I said, every town could perhaps stare at that shall and say, well, you shall get 1,000. I don't want to put anything more on it. And so it's historic. I've been doing this a long time. Boards, they draft their own regulations to decide on a shall and a may. And sometimes there's just some case that is very compelling. Maybe they made great corrective action, went to an ID scanner, that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
so they don't go with that.
Yeah, I guess getting away from the shall may thing for the second, just
Yeah.
the anal part of me or the
No, go ahead.
everything else has a time element to it. And the
Yeah.
first one, if it does, it's not clear. It'd probably be helpful for a business owner or someone just to be abundantly clear, whatever it may be, is the only
Because it
observation.
just says suspended, but there's no timeline.
Oh, well, yes, and you could you could put language in, different towns have actually said, and there shall be a suspension for 1 day, 3 days, 2 days, 30 days, whatever it is someone's deciding. I don't know anyone who has 30. This language, you're right, it would be very unclear to anybody reading it. It is more, the reason I put it in, knowing that, is that I couldn't not put it in because that's what the state law says, but I didn't. Yes, you could put in the specific day, or you could not. You could just leave it be. They would read it, maybe not as carefully as you all the time, but it
I
would.
deal with too many contracts.
Well, yeah, yeah. But do you see what I'm saying in regards to why it's in there, but it's vague? But
It's
you
just a
can
leeway
make
and
it very.
discretion.
Yes.
I do understand that, and that's the whole, in my mind, the shall and may piece of this.
Yes.
But I just, to be parallel, again, I don't know if this is my own issues cropping up. I would try to make it parallel, whatever the policy
Whatever.
decision is.
Yeah.
Just to make it easier for someone who doesn't put as much time as
No,
you
no. The
do
way you're looking at it
to
is
be able to quickly kind of
very-
filter, oh, am I in trouble? Okay, I did it. This is the implication
Yes.
versus, kind of being a little bit in the mix,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
That's my
not at all.
observation.
So, yeah, so that's something you just would think about, the may, the shall, and whether or not you would want a day specific, or to leave it. I mean, technically, I guess the way that's written is someone could hold a hearing on a first offense, meaning the board could hold a hearing on the first offense, make a citation to that 040D, and make a determination whether a suspension would be levied in addition to a $1,000 fine. We have some towns that require people appear before the board to give an explanation for how they'll remedy it in the future, and then they usually handle that. It does vary among 18 different boards as to how that's handled. That's a good.
Okay.
And then here's one let's see, tolling period. Oh, so this D, 17.2D, is another local option issue here, which is an important one. I've seen this in more and more regulations, but not the majority. And it says in the case of 3 or more violations, or more than 3 violations, within a 36-month period or 24, and this is the key language, or even in the case of 1 violation deemed by the North Andover Board of Health as a willful and egregious violation, a fine of $300 will be levied, and the permit may be revoked. So this is language that I have in at least a couple of the boards where we've used it. It wasn't revoked for the 1 violation, but an example would be something that comes to mind is, if I find flavored tobacco, I have to make a determination. Number one, is it explicitly listed as flavored, or is it one of the ones that don't appear on the documentation that we require? I have to consider there are some cases where distributors mistakenly deliver flavored product to Massachusetts stores because we're on the border, and I have to make a judgment call on that. And then there are cases where the judgment call isn't too tough. I'm sorry. One other, but more common one would be someone has a flavored tobacco product. Fortunately, most of the retailers don't, but every once in a while this happens, and enforcement has to occur. But sometimes it's just 1 pack, a few packs of something that's not supposed to be there. I've had the unfortunate situations where I've found multitudes of flavored tobacco products in boxes, many boxes, not necessarily at the shelving. So I have to make a judgment call on those, and those the intent seems to be there pretty clearly. And so the question would be for a board, well, it's a question for me initially when I have to make that decision, is there a difference between 4 packages of a flavored tobacco product, that's a violation of the prohibition against flavored tobacco. And then there's 7 large boxes that have the flavored tobacco product that might perhaps indicate a regular sale of the product. It's arguable that the latter is a willful and egregious violation, and that at least it should call attention to the potential for revocation. So that's why that's there, or why that's recommended. And then last, let's see, there's a couple more here. I just made a point to say that your non-criminal disposition method of enforcement, which is to most, people recognize it as just the parking ticket method. That's what we have, and it looks very much the same. That's under Chapter 40, Section 21D. That would just clarify that that's the means of enforcement by a local provision of the regulations. We, as you know, we need to use correction orders, and the whole, whereas with the non-criminal disposition statute, the person that's accused of a violation can appeal it to district court for the clerk magistrate. In this case here, all of the way the construct of the 105 CMR 665 is that it would be a correction order. If there was any appeal, it'd be within 10 days' notice to the Board of Health. And then if someone wanted to appeal a Board of Health's ruling on a matter, they could go to a court of, what's the, Brian?
Competent jurisdiction.
Competent, yeah, I love that line. I can't, it's weird for me to say it. Yeah, of competent, I don't know which ones are not competent, but I think it's generally Superior Court. And I think the last one is just that Section 20 is the incorporation of state laws and regulations. It just mentions the fact that this is kind of like canned language of sorts. Just so you know, Chapter 270, Section 6A, 7. Most of these deal with flavored tobacco products. Prohibiting flavored tobacco. It's just that they're within the general laws. All right, and that's it. I know it's not the most exciting stuff, but I like to take your regs and not just give you a whole new set without you knowing exactly what has been impacted and what. I don't want to touch anything that you don't want me to touch.
I'm sorry to be so detailed, and I'll be quick.
No.
You got a couple things in green on in between. I assume it's page 14 under 17(2)D.
Yes.
Those the A and B seem to be floating. I'm just not sure what they were pertaining to. Just to be
Oh, good catch.
precise for my understanding.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because there's not 17.2, and then there's nothing, because there's 17.2 A, B, C, D.
Now
and
that
then
should
it
be
goes-
now. I'm just thinking. I know E is okay. Well, B, which should be E, is just a list of state fines and local regulation fines that tell you what
Okay.
apply.
Okay.
But the one before it, sales permit.
Just don't want them to say we didn't read it.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Trying to be detailed.
That doesn't need to be in there at all, because that phrase, I'm just making sure it is in second violation. The second violation, B, the 7.2B, has the may be suspended for, that should say up to, so I'm glad you brought this to my attention. Sent it up to 7 consecutive business days. And that may, on the last line of B, subsection B, should be that wonderful may shall. And then on the third violation C, subsection C, same thing. On the second line, should be may or shall be suspended for up to. So I'll make those changes, and thank you for pointing those out. So that one, A, shouldn't be there, and B should be E. So I will change that.
No problem. Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
So is there specific action?
I don't think we have, it's still kind of in draft form, so obviously we can't vote on it.
Oh, that's one of the things. I'm glad you just said that. Now, Brian, I meant to tell you in the email. I had a little tough time. I'm not good with taking your PDF version of your regs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it in Word. You do?
Yeah.
Huh. I should have asked you that a lot of time before, because what a pain. I made so many corrections this thing, and look at this. I still made some errors. I'm glad you pointed them out. There was a lot of changes I had to make, and some of my formatting, even the colors, I can't get rid of them. So it was fun. But I'm glad I did it, because it made me concentrate. It made me concentrate. But it's a bit tedious, but it's worth doing. So yeah. So I might need to, yeah.
Okay.
And if you want, I can just spend just like 2 minutes just to give you just one other thing
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
So I just want to let you know, update you from the last time I saw you in regards to my quest to have some meaning in that provision that says you have to ID everyone. I kind of told you it's in fun and in the field. Sometimes when I give those signs that say ID everyone, all of the owners and managers, they know me. So some take the track of I'll ID everyone, and then others will be a little more provocative and say I'm not IDing everyone. I'm not IDing someone that's I see every day that I know is of age, and someone that's looks like me. I just very respectful to them. I just say I can only tell you what the law is. What you do with the law is that's your responsibility to decide how to deal with that. So I went through with the advisory board, all of the health representatives from all of our communities, to just tell them what our compliance rates have been, and they all been, with the state regards, is very good. They're 90 to 95% compliance, but I always look at those statistics and say, well, if we have FY26 was 6% up to now. I've got about a couple hundred of them done. And then FY25 was 8%, FY24 was 5%, and 23 and 22 were both 6%. I actually checked the FDA checks in FY26 this current year, and it's at 7%. So it just stays there, and it's all in the way you like to interpret statistics. You can say, great, you're doing an A or A minus, they're doing an A minus. The other way you could look at it is, geez, it's like a drum roll every 15, 16, 17 stores, boom, you're going to get a sale. So what I've done is I've got some plans. I've met with the Cannabis Control Commission a couple of times because they do scan. And I have found more and more retailers now that do scan. It's still not a big number, about a dozen. But if anybody is interested in, I guess, a field trip of sorts, my favorite one to go to is in Westford, the Big Apple Market in Delhi. Mike Abood owns that, and he absolutely loves it. He brags about it. He just, things are just so wonderful there. And again, when I asked him why he does it, he looked me right in the eye and said, because I can sleep at night. I don't have to worry. I sell beer, wine, and tobacco products. And he even has the very best system you can have, because I told him, I says, I know that there are places that we do the compliance checks, affectionately known as stings, and we have had a couple of sales where they have the scanner, but that's only because the person behind the counter had decided to take their own ID and scan it, to help the person out. And again, I consider it a how you call it, a empathetic act. Misguided and obviously unlawful, but it's just someone trying to help someone out. So he doesn't. He actually takes the IDs of numbers of every employee and blocks them. So he is pretty close to a foolproof. And I can't wait. I have an appointment, a pending appointment with them, because I went before another board, and look, it's not a perfect system, and people are trying to, and there's some that want to put some cracks in the system and saying, well, someone can, again, do their own ID. They're gonna figure a way around it. It may make them not pay attention to what ID and that it connects with the person that is actually given the ID. And I said, well, it has to be done anyway. That would be a crack in any system, whether it would be the machine or person. But then it came up in the Board of Health meeting for another town that someone was holding an ID, and they said, this one costs several $100s, and it scans. It scans. And so I said, gee, I'll have to look into that. I called Mike the next day, and he just said, bring it on. So I can't wait. I can't wait to go there and give it a test and see how it works out. So I'll keep you posted on that. I wish the state would give me some money to help subsidize the installation of the machines. We only get like 3, 4, 5, 600 million a year in the taxes. So I don't know. You hope you could spare a little bit, but I know. I'll keep. Anything else?
Yeah. What do the scanners typically cost, the range?
Well, when I saw him about a year ago, he said his system, each register system, was $2,000. He told me the scanners were, if I recall correct, I remember him talking a lot about the scanners and basically saying like that a $125 scanner is not the same as a $300 scanner. It's just the the background of it and such. So I've been hoping I could get, I just see it in all these years I've been doing this work, I see it as a win-win. I don't see I know the biggest fault in it, and I've gotten, what was it, my Amy, the assistant director in Andover, you know, when I was telling how frustrated I was, I have a thing that comes up on my phone every day that says, never let perfect be the enemy of good. I love that. I just look at it every day to remind myself of that. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it has, and I'm going to go to a fireworks distributor store in Seabrook. I've heard that they have this. So I want to just see it in motion. I'd have to say the one that's the most convincing to me as I want to say a negative on an LID is the perception that some customers have that their information is being, could be sold or compromised and that sort of thing. And I do respect that. It can happen. That's why, of course, my retort to that would be, if you do it statewide and there are state parameters and maybe a central, maybe like what I'm going to learn with many of the marijuana establishments, maybe that would help reduce that sort of a problem, but probably never eliminate it.
So the 2,000 per register, that's for their point of sale system, and then you
Yes.
add on a scanner on top of that.
Oh, yeah, and then there's,
Okay.
there's an elective thing to take. I remember him telling me it was like $50 a month for a 24/7, tech support. Call them anytime, and they're going to fix it right away. He gets that. Yeah. I mean, you know what I think it is the fines are so high that by the time you're in for 2 offenses, you've already spent more than what that system would have cost. And I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but my vision for this one is different than it's ever been for any regulation that I've, kind of offered. Is I don't want this one to be. I want this one to be from the bottom up. I don't want it from the top down. And so what I've told the retailers, I know they'd have to go into it knowing the board could disagree. I can't control what the boards do, but I wanted to do it as an experiment, and I thought that maybe particularly in a smaller community, let's give it a try, and it's only a half a dozen or so retailers, and if the super majority want it, they're going to vote. Do they want it or not? If let's just say 8 out of 10 wanted it, in the case of a place that had 10, I'd say I want to move forward on it. If it was less than that, even though it's a majority, I don't want to move forward on it. There's too many that don't want it. To get unanimity is difficult, but to get close to it, that's what I want first. And then I wanted to promise them that we would try it for a year. If you, at the end of the year, have a sunset provision in it and say, does it only last 1 year unless renewed by request? I'd like that, because I'm not here to impose it. It's for me, I just feel like having gathered over $100,000 in fines in just 2.5 years, what are we doing that for? It's ridiculous. The only enforcement I think that would happen with an ID scanner system is they'd have to keep everyone honest. And so I'm not a tech guy, so, I'm not gonna be able to figure out if there's an end round, an end round to the system, or a secret switch, and all that kind of, look, the way I would just do it is myself, or if I had some contractors, which I do sometimes, I just would have them go to the stores and observe. And if no one's giving their ID for a scan, then we do it the appropriate way, the way we always do it, which is most likely a warning, a smaller fine, just to get people aboard, kind of nudge them about, hopefully we, the minority of them. And, just do it that way, just so that we can't have someone that doesn't do it, otherwise it undermines the whole system, because everyone's going to X variety store, because they know that they can go there without it, so. I don't know. There's many that think I'm barking up the wrong tree, by the way, and I'm not offended. There's other alternatives, novel ideas out there as well, to help reduce youth use of tobacco, but I personally think this is the right one. Just trying to find that state or municipality that does it already. I always like to do things and copy it rather than do it on my own, so we'll see what happens. All right, I know I went a little
That's
beyond.
fine. Nope, you
All right, thank you.
all set. Anybody have any questions? Or did you want to talk about the NFG movement?
Well, that was one of the, that's a
We talked
novel.
about that
And
at
by
the-
the way, before I forget, on these regs, whatever you decide on the language, I do recommend a hearing. I don't think, I can honestly say, I know I'm kind of on record here, most of these I don't think are going to be problematic for any of the retailers, because it is just upgrading it to the state law. Those local ones, certainly that egregious and willful one, that's kind of a scary one, I guess, if you will. But that's more on it's not to do something different. It's just if you didn't do something correct, it would have a little more repercussions. So they should have an opportunity to have notice and just know that the law is potentially being changed. Yeah, the NFG, that's nicotine-free generation. So the concept of, I've been to a couple of the seminars on that policy. Right now, roughly 20 communities in the state have adopted that. None have adopted it in our collaborative of 18 right now. Look, I've always tried to be what I call your support. I'm your agent. I'm not a grassroots guy. I'm not here to. That's not my job. My job is to educate, give you the tools, which are usually regulatory language, that are out there. And you have a history of being the leader in this. I mean, I think you're one of the, I like to call it, first 13 colonies or something that did the flavor restriction when it wasn't a ban, but a restriction. You did a lot of other great things, even when going up to 40 instead of 27 for the age to ID. So the thing, I'm only mentioning those policies because it was a little easier for me. I didn't regard myself as an advocate. I remember one of the members of the board, I just went out and just to show that these flavors were out there, and I brought them in. But I wasn't part of any group or any part of citizen, getting together to do. This was just, I had read many medical, peer-reviewed scientific journals, and they were all saying there was a link between flavor and youth use. Not to say adults don't like the flavors, but there was hard evidence. Nicotine-free generation is a little more difficult. The idea is a gradual ban. So if the board today were to adopt the law, just for argument's sake, on January 1st, let's say, anyone that's 21 by that time, they would be able to buy tobacco in North Andover, and they would, and anyone could sell them tobacco in North Andover. But after that, if someone became 21 after that date, then they no longer, forever, would be able to buy tobacco in North Andover, and forever, no retailer would be able to sell them tobacco. I like to say in this debate about the policy that there are educated, sophisticated, well-meaning, dedicated people from both sides. That's why, some like this ID scan, some, they don't think it's, me, I get frustrated because I can't understand how a law can say you have to ID everyone, but you really don't. You either change the law or just don't have it. With the nicotine-free generation, the thing that stands out most to me is contacted our epidemiological team at DPH. With the flavor, there were multitudes of studies to show the connections and why it would be a good policy to restrict those products. This one here, with the nicotine-free generation, the concept is that it would, and it's a good one, I like the idea, for though most people who start smoking do so before, really in their teens, so well before their age of consent, or age of adulthood, 21. This would, as it made it illegal for a retailer to sell after 21, as you got out further and further, like the 21-year-old, the 22-year-olds, the 23, the 24, 25, that there's a connection between, social connection between your peers that might be a little bit older that can buy, and you're too young to buy. So it would make it wider and wider and wider. That's the concept. Because it's so novel, there really, I mean, there are scattering of communities in the country that have it. I know some other, communities, in the country that have started it. Some countries have tried it. I think New Zealand had it on the boards for a little while, and then it came off, or at least it was being proposed. I think in New Britain it's been offered as a bill. But it really comes down to weighing both sides, and I'll be there. You know, if you need any information on it, I can provide that to you. But right now, I guess I'm just trying to. I mean, if it sounds like I'm favoring a policy, I guess a little bit, the ID, because I just want the law we have. We have the backdrop we have is the strongest state law in the country, only rivaled by California. So we're really on strong footing on doing the right thing. It's just the way to enforce it that matters most. And to do it not in a mean-spirited way. That's why I like the idea of the retailers coming. And I've gotten very positive reviews from the retailers. Not guaranteeing me they're for it, but I bumped into some that actually, I bumped into one liquor store owner who owns a marijuana establishment. He said, yeah, if you want to do it, go ahead, do it. As long as everyone else has to do it, it's a fair thing. So, do you have any specific questions on those policies, the ID or the nicotine-free generation? Yeah.
You good?
All right. Sorry about that. Keeping you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Not
Ron.
as bad as when we had the meeting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking for a timeline?
Whatever your preference is.
Okay.
Yeah. No
I guess we'll
rush.
We still at least have to discuss the shall.
discuss the shall, the 24, 36 months.
Willful, egregious.
Yep,
The
Local.
blockbuster. Yeah.
the local fines.
Yeah.
So we can do that over the next month.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
The discussion of the food regulations.
So these, we're getting ready. You guys have the latest draft. After we talked after the last meeting, I did add in one little section. Where is it? Section 8. We talked about this. This is one of the pet peeves of mine. So we don't have to keep that in there or not, but one thing that I did notice is that the food code has hand sinks have to have a minimum temperature of 85 degrees. The state plumbing code has 120 degrees. So I'm kind of opting towards the state code versus the food code, just because it's state plumbing. I think that is definitely something to note, because, as I said, there are definitely bathrooms around town where the water never gets hot. So I'm trying to encourage hand washing. So that's the section I added in there since the last meeting. If you guys want to keep it, great. If not, I can strike it. Completely up to you guys.
Is it mainly for comfort?
It's
That it's the.
to encourage actual hand washing.
Do people
If
really
the
get
water's-
deterred by their tepid water?
If it's cold water, you're not going to wash your hands.
I mean, I usually wash my hands in cold water. I don't wash my hands in hot water, but that's just me.
I'm envisioning like, it's like 2 degrees outside or whatever, and the bathroom is just really, really cold, and they're already disinclined, and that's just one little thing that pushes them over
Right.
the top,
I
right?
mean, I'm
it is in
just
the
playing
state plumbing
devil's
code.
advocate. It's just,
No, I get what you're saying. I'm trying to
Yeah, yeah.
bring the two
So
I
it's
mean, that's totally
completely
fine
up
with
to you
that.
guys,
No,
whatever you guys
I mean,
want.
It seems reasonable.
Like you said, it's a plumbing code, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
it is. So it's
There you
basically
go.
enforcing the plumbing code.
Yeah.
Okay.
Works for me.
Just say, part of the food code that we saw the other day too, it's a minimum of 15 seconds.
Oh,
that
yeah.
It needs to be on for.
So automatic hand washers, where you hit the thing,
Mhm.
it's gonna stay on for 15 seconds, minimum. Some of them stay on for like 3.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
True.
So we started enforcing that too.
That also
but,
sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're doing with 3 seconds of water.
Yeah, so with this, you've seen a couple drafts now, mull it over the next month. We will do a legal notice in the paper, and then I will have a final draft for you guys at the next meeting. Any changes you guys want, email me, let me know. I can
Okay.
take care of that. Incorporate that into the final draft, and get that ready for January.
Sounds good.
Brian, are the fines and stuff something that needs to be discussed here, or is that?
Sir, we discussed that last time, the risk characterization, or the risk-based inspection schedule.
Yep. No, I didn't know about some of the new fines we were putting in for deadlines and whatnot.
Oh, so for the fee schedule, which we'll do in January, we're gonna do a late fee for people that don't renew their permit. And the late fee will be a double of the permit fee. And then we're also looking to do, this is gonna be written on your fee schedule, a daily assessment as well. Because some people wait an entire month and we have to chase them down, and it's frustrating. Because technically they shouldn't be operating without a permit.
Right.
So there are places that will go and close them down on that day.
Okay.
We can always take that stance too, if that's what you want.
You've got to enforce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look at this, let me
Okay.
know. We will take this up next month. So, tobacco, food, all sorts of good stuff tonight.
The meeting schedule, I think all the,
Packet for next week?
yeah, I think all the dates, April probably, I mean, I won't be here, but as long as there's enough for, because I think that's,
Is that right at the beginning?
I think that's April school
My wife
break.
keeps a lot better track of that than I do.
Yeah, I have it in here.
Look for Patriots Day, right? Marathon Monday?
Oh, actually, that's the week before
I think
school
we-
break.
We tried to adjust it so it didn't fall on school break.
Yeah, okay, I think that's, yep. So that's, I mean, I'll take a motion to approve the meeting minutes, meeting schedule.
I move that we accept the 2026 meeting schedule as proposed.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
There we go.
perfect. Take that and put it in my calendar. General
Journal updates?
updates.
So far this year, we've done 629 flu shots. That's down from last year, we did 697. Jen helped me out with a flu clinic. We had a fire alarm in the middle of it, but it worked out fine. We did do a COVID clinic. There was only about 32 shots that we were given. From November 1st till now, we have 30 cases of flu. 5 of them were from November, so 25 were from December 1st till now. The flu vaccine just mismatched the strain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We also have COVID tests that Jen ordered for us. We're giving them out to residents. Unfortunately, they only test for COVID. We don't have the fancy reefer. But the numbers that are reported for COVID, it's about 25, which is attributed to a lot of the home testing that do flu and COVID at home.
Makes sense.
I actually read an interesting article about how they match to predict the flu, because it was coming out that, so one of the pharmaceutical companies is coming out with a mRNA vaccine for flu. And the reason why we have difficulty matching is because we have to go after like the southern hemisphere most common flu for the year before, and it takes 9 months to create the vaccine. But if you switch to the mRNA vaccine, it could be made within 30 days and then dispensed out to the public with a better match to predict what the most common flu strain will be.
But then it creates all other side flag.
I'm not even gonna go down
Swearing
that
at the
road.
game.
Yeah.
Get 'em.
Yep. Yep.
I've gotten both of mine. It's been a while since we've met, but I'm a proud adopter of all vaccines, so
There you go.
I'm
Nice.
up to date with mine. So
Awesome.
as a professor,
Good.
I actually had a quick question. Little rumor on the school side, norovirus is kind of circulating around. Any of that coming across your desk?
So luckily, we've had 0 in North
Okay.
Andover. We did have like 1 case of salmonella from November 1st till now. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say, we're gonna knock on wood and hope that the 125-degree water will.
Yep.
So washing your hands is very important. Washing your food is very important.
Yeah, because a
Yeah.
couple kids in Sargent, kind of separate out my schools. We're sick last couple of days, including one of the kids on my soccer
As I
team.
said,
That's why I'm living it. I said, please don't come if you're not feeling
Yeah.
well.
Couple weeks you'll have to get
Take the whole team down. Yeah,
That's not all of his friends.
yeah.
very
Keep
difficult
your
to
son
kill.
and your friend and his friends home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Craig.
Yes, finishing up this month working with the intern. It's gone pretty well for the most part. A couple hiccups, just, I think me being new in general and getting her just was kind of a learning curve also. But it's going well. She's kind of turned a corner the past month or so and has really kind of stepped it up, so it's been nice. Since last time we met, went to a couple different conferences, which was great. Super helpful this year. Last year I was, about 10 days in going to the first conference, so definitely kind of like deer in headlights trying to navigate my way through. But, this year was good because I knew kind of where to go, like my strengths and weaknesses. So spent most of my time working with septic because that's definitely where I need to grow, but it was definitely helpful. It was good. And then just right now busy with trash hauler permits, awful permits. Winding down the restaurant ones, don't really have anything left unless a complaint comes up. Pretty good, couple problem children in town, but, working with those guys to get, some corrective action. And then just still kind of dealing with an uptick in rodents around town. A lot of trash complaints with rodent sightings, so, just trying to keep up with that and just kind of make sure everyone complies. We had an issue on Main Street, and they've definitely taken some serious action of locking up the trash barrels and giving the residents keys because they're claiming people dumping trash. So a few incidents like that. They seem to be on top of it. A few other spots in town too, but we're getting there. But definitely seen an uptick in those lately. That's about it.
All right. Last but not least.
Septic season's winding down. Finishing out a few systems right now. Got some soil testing to do so the engineers can design the plans for the spring. So that is fantastic to get that off the books for a little bit. As Craig said, the food has been completed for the season, for the year. So we maintained everything. And typical housing, septic's winding down, food's taken care of, and it's the holidays. And here we are.
Okay. Anything else? Do you want to do the honors of making the motion?
Oh, I can do a motion. No, I'm just kidding. I move that, make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
That's second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Adjourn.